From the very beginning, whispers followed Tony Beets across the frozen goldfields of the Yukon, warnings about a man as ruthless as he was brilliant. They said his temper could melt permafrost, that he'd stop at nothing to strike gold, and that working with him came at a heavy price. But few believed the stories, until it was too late. Now, as the truth about Tony Beets's rise and reign on Gold Rush finally surfaces, it's clear those warnings weren't just rumors. They were a glimpse into the storm that was coming. Ultimately, he and we gain more gold. Maybe I'll be pleased. Just do what I'll spend it. Tony Beets was trouble from the start in Gold Rush Season 2. The whispers started. Insiders raised eyebrows as miners glanced. He charmed everyone with his enormous dredges and distinctive accent. No one noticed the signs. Nobody heeded their warning about crossing the King of the Klondike. The drama has grown beyond reality TV. Not why we didn't listen. How did we miss all the signs? Body. Tony Beets was born in Weidens on December 15, 1959. It sounded far, but it was a small Dutch community. He had a unique childhood in the Dutch countryside in the 1960s and 1970s. It was even farther from the gold fields he would love. Weidenes, North Holland, was a small rural village. This village was quiet, but had all they needed. Tony started working young. Young Tony discovered that complaining was pointless. He recognized the world as Weiden's rugged landscapes and people who valued physical effort. After attending local schools, he admitted to never being interested in academics. The classroom felt confining. He preferred action over theory and paperwork. He understood he would focus on real-world skills after finishing his basic education. The Netherlands had few opportunities in the 1970s. By staying, his life would be predictable. He worked the land, made a modest wage, and cared for his family, but Tony Beets was not modest. He was born hungry for success. He sought more than his birthright. Tony met Minnie in the Netherlands as a young adult. Minnie became his wife and business partner. They have similar life and risk views. They believed comfort and stability should be earned, not expected. Both had lived in remote, harsh surroundings and understood life was bigger than they thought. The young couple married and started planning. Their little Dutch community lacked everything Canada offered. People spoke about enormous areas and limitless potential. Tony moved his possessions and his beloved wife Minnie to Canada in 1984 at 24. They came with little. No money, prospects, or jobs were they banking on. They entered the country with self-confidence and a willingness to labor when needed. The Beets moved to BC, and Tony worked anywhere he could. At first, it was challenging. The first few years in the country were humble. He did manual labor on construction projects. He did anything to bring things home. He didn't expect his family's transition to Canadian living when they left the Netherlands. The language barrier and financial troubles persisted. However, Tony Beets would not resign. It would indicate they came for nothing. Tony learned about gold mining in the Yukon Territory during his early years in Canada. Prospectors from throughout the world came to Yukon for the 19th century gold rush. For those unfamiliar, Yukon endured harsh winters and seclusion from civilization. Tony Beets sensed an opportunity to escape his predicament. The family decided to move again. Dawson City, Yukon, was their new destination. Tony joined renowned mining companies. He started from scratch and learned all the business equipment. He ran machinery, worked long shifts in harsh conditions, and learned everything he could about gold mining. The Netherlands lad, who only knew farmland and the severe Canadian economy, discovered something refreshing. Finally, Tony Beets discovered his calling. It wasn't on cozy Dutch farms or in southern Canadian cities, in Yukon's gold fields. Tony and Minnie built their family during these difficult years. Their 4 children were born: Kevin, Monica, Mike, Bianca. Tony made it a priority to support his family as they mined gold, despite their financial struggles. Raised by his father, He adopted his philosophy. He showed them that nothing was easy to get. In his late 20s and 60s, they understood that their father had left a legacy few could match. Tony went from Dutch country boy to Yukon miner. Hard effort made him the proprietor of one of the most profitable Klondike mining operations. After joining Gold Rush, Tony was a Yukon mining powerhouse when Discovery Channel called in 2010. He had many claims and equipment. He was known as one of Klondike's hardest and most accomplished miners. He was only recognized in Dawson City and the mining community sans reality TV stardom. He was virtually unknown. Gold Rush producers sought to extend the cast for a second season. First season centered on Todd Hoffman and his amateur miners. They had decent ratings, but the crowd wanted a pro. It felt like Todd and his guys were pretending to mine. They were useful, but a contrast was needed to show how experts handled regular issues. Tony Beets was the target. Tony was initially hesitant to discuss his life and career on broadcast. He did not want to be an entertainer and thought reality TV would distract him from mining. However, producers persisted. He tried due to financial incentives and commercial exposure. Tony Beets debuted on reality TV in 2011, changing the show. Tony's public career changed him unexpectedly. His toughness, heavy Dutch accent, and no-nonsense mining style won over fans. Viewers admired his mining expertise. He cursed openly when things went wrong. He was quick to respond to equipment failures and crew misbehavior. His authoritative love character appealed to his age group. It seems this method had disappeared in current times. The show gave him more commercial prospects and made his successful mining company a brand. He negotiated better equipment supplier bargains and recruited more investors. People wanted to join his crew because he was an experienced player. The show helped him expand and buy more mining claims. Fame was complicated. His privacy vanished. He was scrutinized by critics and admirers, the pressure of filming complicated mining methods, and Tony had to become used to cameras catching his every move. The public now commented on every company choice. He adjusted to this new manner. He used television to his advantage. Why Discovery summoned him in was clear. He understood permafrost, machine mechanics, water management, and many other large-scale placer mining technicalities. Good at what he did. Everyone thought Tony was an expert when he spoke on camera, but there was a catch. Tony Beets was more than a tough love miner. Though terrifying, no one realized what was coming until it was too late. Show's weapon was his personality. Tony's rage might wreak havoc. Losses could result from his excessive rage. He refused to back down and used harsh language. Anyone who was the subject of Tony's rage nursed their wounds in quiet, since Tony could do anything if they complained. The heated arguments Tony Beets always had were reality TV gold. It captivated audiences. The episode explored Tony's numerous sides. Hard effort and family loyalty were his values. He loved his job, but was ready to fight if necessary. Tony Beets's full personality was fascinating. He brought a show standard. His multi-million-dollar mining endeavors, dredging activities, and equipment purchases elevated the stakes. He spent seasons restoring a 75-year-old dredge Tony acquired. In real time, viewers watched an engineering project, not a mining technique. He showed spectators a successful mining. Tony mentored and fought with Gold Rush cast members. Tony Beets had no between. He felt he earned respect for his industrial advancement. His dealings with Todd Hoffman were contentious. Todd was the worst miner Tony could imagine. Due to inexperience and high expectations, Todd suffered. Tony saw these traits as ineptitude. Initial conversations were tense, predicting heated arguments. Tony scarcely concealed his disapproval of Hoffman's mining system. He stated Todd was a pseudo-professional who desired respect after years of hard effort. Todd was only one of Tony's numerous opponents. Cast members did not interfere and let him and his crew work. Did the producers consider his relationship with other cast members impact? It increased viewing. Reality TV math showed that drama increases attractiveness. Warning signs. Contract expiration. When I risk all and you profit from royal. After 2 years on the show, everyone could describe Tony Beets' personality. He had shown his skill and power, but a series of events would reveal Tony Beets' destructive nature. Their first event began in October 2014. Tony's decision caused his worst legal issues. One of their team members threw gasoline into an Indian River dredge pond and set it on fire while filming Season 6. Tony approved of the Viking baptism. Tony extended out his arms before the burning water and the cameras filmed it. This may have been a show of superiority, but they committed a crime. Tony and Tamarack Incorporated broke the Yukon Waters Act. They threw dangerous merchandise into protected waters without reporting it. On his last day, subcontractor Mark Favren claimed it was his idea, but he couldn't take the blame. Tony was boss and accountable. Legal implications surfaced. No one remembered them until 3 years later. Tony and Tamarack Inc., August 2017, were fined $31,000 for their pond stunt. Mark paid $1,725. Since I run the show, I think I should have told him not to do it, Tony said. He only considered the repercussions when it affected his wallet. The Discovery Channel aired it. Television showed Tony violating the environment. A huge red flag should have been raised. Instead, the show kept him. Everyone forgot about the fine after paying it. But it highlighted something crucial about Tony Beets. He felt exempt from the restrictions. His only concession would be if it damaged his revenue. This was the first of many signals that began to bother show cast members. Tony's relationship with Parker Schnabel soured next. Their relationship began as mentor-student. It turned toxic rapidly. Parker worked for Tony early in his mining career and had regular disputes. Tony treated Parker like everyone else, always criticizing, demanding, and never complimenting. Nothing satisfied Tony. Stress between them grew common during the gold rush. Tony criticized Parker's choices. Parker would resist. The men refused to retreat. Their constant ego clashes created drama the show's producers wanted. However, it showed Tony's unwillingness to work with disobedient people. By season 15, everything changed. Tony and Parker collaborated at Dominion, but tension persisted. "What's wrong?" "Parker, what's wrong?" "I have no issue." "You talking about what?" More than mentor and student. They became competitive colleagues. This was two egomaniacal men forced to work together. Though fighting cooled, the underlying dispute continued. Tony had 2 confrontations with colleagues, but his rift with his son Kevin Beets was most startling. Their conflict exploded in season 14 like other Tony Beets feuds. Kevin sought Tony's Southeast Alaska gold claim. Tony insisted on control. Power battle turned ugly soon. Tony may have relinquished authority since he didn't trust his son. Kevin fled the operation. He disappeared halfway through the season from his father's crew. This was no trivial dispute. A son became irritated with his father's dominating manner and left the home, even the family business. The family was upset, although Kevin was not solely responsible. They understood their patriarch. He was difficult, and the community knew it. Things remained unchanged in season 15. Sneak looks showed father-son conflict lengthening. Overall, Kevin mined for a year. He struggled to escape his father's shadow. Not much had changed when he returned. Tony Beets stayed the same. He demanded, criticized, and never acknowledged. Kevin fought for recognition and sovereignty again. This amazing dad who had improved his family's fate couldn't figure out what he was doing wrong when building a strong bond with his sons. Mike Beets, another Tony son, had distinct issues. Mike accidentally flipped a $300,000 wash plant onto the road to make up for a mistake. Not his first time disappointing his father. He was familiar with this rodeo. The plant decreased once, but the second disaster damaged it. Tony was upset and angry. No matter what Mike did to run Paradise Hill, Tony was never satisfied. The pressure of working for an unsatisfiable father caused costly mistakes. Mike's issue wasn't inexperience. Aware of his actions, pressure from an insatiable father complicated things more than expected. This attack included Tony's gang. Since the boss was toxic, the crew's operations were too. Some considered rough love workplace abuse. Tony has suffered little consequences despite these warnings. Discovery Channel kept him on because he added spice. He wasn't fired for his legal fine. His family difficulties become plots, not reasons for removal. His crew issues were amusing. The producers appreciated Tony Beets' antics on his team and co-workers. It kept everyone talking. One of the show's most successful characters, he possesses substantial assets. The show's creators and cast called him Klondike King, even if his reputation was sinking and most of his co-workers hated him. It didn't matter. He was respected by most. He was respected for his work and skill. Father-son ties were disrupted, maybe forever. Fear and money guaranteed his crew's devotion. His legacy was dominance. The unrealistic criteria may have resembled experts on the show. The battles with his sons could have been discipline. Parker Schnabel's rudeness or misunderstandings may have caused the Parker conflicts. Many saw Tony's explosions and disagreements as theatrics, not a behavior problem. Discovery Channel benefited off his dysfunction. So we never saw the indicators for what they were. Tony's actions had few repercussions. They never made news. These effects were personal and cost him more than he thought. He burned bridges creating his empire, which was costly. He would repay it long after fame and cameras stopped rolling. The Discovery Channel didn't only air Tony Beets' actions. They profited from packaging and marketing. Every spicy duel was highlighted by the network's editing team. Their dramatic music accentuated Tony's erratic behavior. A 5-minute dispute might become a season-long tale. A minor argument became a must-see episode for fans. Tony's impulsiveness and profanity were marketed as entertainment and his larger-than-life character. Audiences accepted this shortcoming as sincerity. Tony's behavior fueled ratings, therefore Discovery had no reason to fix it. Tony screaming at his workers increased ratings. Social media exploded when he fought his sons. The network learned via discussion that disagreement equals engagement, and engagement equals ad income. Asking Discovery to change Tony's management approach is like killing their golden goose. They wouldn't change what made them money. The network normalized Tony's behavior by showing it to the public week after week, making brutal working conditions look like the only real workplace. Tony Beets represented toxic masculinity as traditional values. Society considered his inability to display emotion other than wrath masculine. Many blamed his behavior on his generation, which prevented them from investigating. Many enjoyed the entertainment, enriching Tony Beets. No change occurred, and only time will tell if he will milden or worsen with age. When Discovery Channel discovered reality TV gold rush, it hit gold. Small-scale gold in Alaska was popular, and everyone wanted Yukon. Gold mining showed American work in its most drilling aspect, which audiences craved. The crew followed inexperienced miners as they risked everything for the American dream. Discovery didn't want successful miners in Season 1. They struggled. They desired failure. Desperation would keep viewers coming back week after week. They found Oregon-based Todd Hoffman and team. Despite having no mining expertise, these men sold their homes, maxed out their credit cards, and traveled to Alaska with borrowed equipment and optimism. Show was everything because of danger. For its debut season in 2010, Gold Rush averaged over 3 million viewers. Millions of Americans struggled financially and wanted to emigrate. The show exposed average people with comparable issues on reality TV. Season 2 needed a new cast dynamic. This introduced Tony Beets to the show. His arrival introduced old-school tactics and an experienced miner's approach to the presentation. As one team in Alaska became numerous operations in different locales, the production expanded in cast and space. Parker Schnabel began mining his grandfather's claim as a young man. Owner Rick Ness launched his business. Todd left Hoffman after season 8 after traveling to Alaska, Oregon, Guyana, and Colorado. A one-crew narrative became multiple crews across the country trying to make it in the fields. Multiple spin-offs followed the show's success. Gold Rush Dirt gave behind-the-scenes recaps. Whitewater tracked undersea miners. Parker's Trail followed Parker Schnabel's mining explorations. Winter's Fortune followed miners who braved dangerous weather to find gold. Every part of gold mining was franchised. By its 10th season, the show was the channel's longest-running and most successful. Friday nights were exciting since the show always had something new. They constantly had something to watch on their displays. Most Discovery shows were heavily edited, but their authenticity claims helped. People experienced equipment breakdowns, weather issues, financial problems, and misunderstandings regularly. Thus, they enjoyed seeing people like themselves on film, struggling to make a life and gain respect. Even though the presentation was dramatic, viewers could sense actual stakes. The 2020 pandemic created new issues. Season 11 saw miners fighting border closures, supply chain issues, and health regulations. The pandemic did not prompt the channel to decrease production. They saw it as another challenge that would cause drama. In 2024, the show entered its 15th season with strong ratings. Its durability proves Discovery right. Entertainment was their top priority, which paid off. They develop with time. Discovery released longer streaming material and improved social media participation. Show funding rose over time. Early seasons had small equipment and operations. Season 15 operations were huge. Numerous miners ran multi-million-dollar wash operations and massive excavators. Many little miners advanced to industrial-scale mining that seemed inconceivable in Season 1. All looked to be growing. Parker aimed to mine 10,000 ounces of gold per season, up from 1,000. Others got rich with gold. Not only Tony was an expert on set, others were proving themselves. As scale increased, so did spectator interest. Just like that, the Discovery Channel launched a show that changed its cast members' lives episode by episode. Reality television meant prioritizing viewership. Despite petty arguments, family ties, mining disasters, and gold mining, they saw the results of their hard labor. New miners on the show today will find wealth. Tony Beets argues that the show changed their life financially and created their identities as hard-working modern gold rush pioneers. Grit, tenacity, and a tireless will to tackle the harsh Yukon terrain are his hallmarks. Each ounce of gold Tony and his staff digs proves that patience and willpower still work today. What's a little drama or entertainment with success? The occasional conflict, disagreement, or defeat makes the plot authentic, which may explain why fans keep coming back. Mechanical noise and dust clouds hide a deeper truth: family, heritage, and unwavering adventure. Tony's empire took time. It was chiseled from chilly ground, hard work, and perseverance under harsh conditions. Whether Tony's job and family attitudes will alter is unknown. His strict parenting and management style has been lauded and condemned. Some find him harsh. Others call him an excellence-demanding man. Over time, viewers have seen his softer side, pride in his children's successes, and reflection on mining's toll. However, those few occasions are more powerful. The most important thing is that Discovery gambled on following a group of ordinary folks working in the soil and won gold for the network. The gold rush made miners famous and inspired many to follow their aspirations despite the odds. The Beets patriarch and the next generation daring to strike it rich under his watchful eye will experience more drama, victory, and transformation as long as the gold keeps flowing and the love for mining burns hot. Your thoughts on Tony Beets's work style? Share your opinions in the comments.